Hey there, folks. Stan here, and welcome to the very first episode of Random Encounters Sketch Challenge. This is an idea that I've had floating around for a while, uh, so I'm hoping that that this will catch on. I've had a pretty good thought um, about sorry, tech. It's always tech, isn't it? Um, so yeah, no, I've had a very good idea for doing this program, and I've done little things like it from time to time. But now I'm going to do it. I'm going to be doing this regularly um, for weekly. Yeah, that's the plan. I came in 5 minutes ago, sitting here. I was all set. I said, I am so set for this. This is going to go so smooth. Right out the gate, stumbling, bumbling. That's live video, but it's not so bad. I am trying to get my tech to be where I want it to be, so that we can do this thing. All right, this looks good. Well, I'm gonna blow forward and presume that everything is working well, because at this point it really looks like it is. So let's try that again. Hey everybody, Stan here, and welcome to the very first episode of Random Encounters Sketch Challenge. And for those of you who have, and some of you have asked, what does that mean? I'm going to explain it now. So I've done this a few times in the past where I've come on and done a live stream, and without really knowing what it is that I'm going to be streaming. I did this a lot in 2021 for the Olympics. I did an entire month coming in each day, not knowing what I was going to draw. Just kind of rolled it up randomly on an encounter table. Now, for those of you who are coming from the gaming world, I say encounter table, and you know exactly what I mean. But there may be people tuning in who have no idea what an encounter table is. So let's let's do our first little switch over here, and come over and switch views here, and you can see what I have here are a little encounter table, or two encounter tables. Now, in games, for those of you who are not gamers, sometimes when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons or other role-playing games, to keep a little mystery in it, you're not sure what's going to happen at any given time. So we have a table of some number of possibilities, and then you roll randomly on the dice to decide which of those things happens, and it keeps everything kind of, keeps everyone on their toes. So that's what I've done here. I am going to roll on the Who table. I have a app here, which so I can bring up on screen. You'll see I will roll a die, and we'll roll on the Who table and get one of these choices. And then I'll roll on the What table and get one of these choices. So, for example, if I roll 3 on the Who table, I get a zombie. And if I roll 5 on the What table, I'd get an Olympic gymnast. So then I would draw a zombie Olympic gymnast. And that should be fun and, in theory, funny. And at the very least, entertaining for you. No, at the very least, entertaining for me, and hopefully entertaining for you too. I figure over the course of an hour, I'll do anywhere between 3 and 4 of these, maybe more. And so each time I'll go back and roll on the same table. But there's a chance I'll roll the same number again. So I have put below a bonus board. So if I were to come back after finishing the zombie Olympic gymnast and roll another 3 on the Who, then I would go down to the bonus board and I'll decide then whether I will start with Batman or pick one of the three. It'll kind of be my choice. But those of you who are watching, I can see, hey, Owen, hey, Roger, thanks for tuning in. Uh, it's good to know that I'm not the only person enjoying this. Again, I'm making the presumption that you're going to enjoy this. And then if I were to roll a 5 again, instead of being an Olympic gymnast, we'll pick something off the other side of the bonus board. So that's how this goes. Uh, if this was a class, I would say any questions. This being a live stream, I can say any questions. Type them in. I should see them in the chat, and I will answer them. In the meanwhile, why don't we? I'm going to grab my iPad here. I'm doing all of this with my iPad and an Apple Pencil, which is what you're going to be seeing on the screen. So you're going to see the results of what I'm drawing on the screen. Right now, surprised I didn't go with D20. So Owen says he's surprised I didn't go with D20s, which are standard for most role playing games, for most of the big role playing games. And actually, there's a reason I didn't go with D20s, and I did that in when I did the Olympics. I did everything on tables with D20s. I found that a little disappointing to me, because when you do D20s and you're only going to do one a day, or at this point even 3 a day, that means there's 17 that don't get used. So I've right now gone with a D6 because it reduces the options, and I suppose it increases the chance that I'll re-roll the same number, which is also a little exciting. But we'll see. This whole thing is, it's an experiment. It's a work in progress. So if I do this for a while and it turns out that everyone would rather see D20s, I can make tables of 20 choices. I've got lots of choices sitting around. I've got a pad full of ideas for things to do here. So it could get that way, but I thought it would be better to start with just 6 of them. Also, part of the I could use D12s, and because no one uses D12s. That's a good point. We'll see. Good points. I will take them under consideration. For today, though, for sure we're using D6s because that's what I'm prepared for. I think that as we go along, as this goes on, if I continue to, if it gets the feeling of continuing from week to week, and I'm going to use the same choices every time, then maybe doing a larger table that we will continue from week to week, and I just replace the choices that have been used, which is what I did for the Olympics. But I found at the end of the Olympic challenge, and again, this is my biggest experience with this kind of thing, there were numbers that over the course of the month never got rolled, and very often there were a couple of the choices that I had hoped would come up. So having a smaller number will also increase the cycling on that chart, on that table, whatever I do. D7s just because they're 15% geekier, says Owen. True. And since I'm doing electronic dice, I can do any die number I want. So, lots to think about. But since this is not in theory today, I'm really doing this. I'm gonna go ahead. So here are the tables we're working with. On the Who side, we have a beholder, a wizard, a zombie, an adventurer, which is my general terms for any kind of D&D player character. I thought about taking the wizard out and just keeping that out of adventure, but wizards seem worthwhile to to kind of give their own category to. Vampire and kobold. So let me go here to my die roller. You see here, just to show you as an example, I hit that and it will roll a die. Roll a die like that. So those two don't count. We're going to go right now. This is the one. This is the one that counts. So let's hit it and see we've got a 1. So if I come on back over here, we can see that means our first who is a beholder. Who almost didn't make it but I put him in the drawing on the on the the thumbnail for this, so I figured I ought to have him as an option. Hello, Linnea. Hello, Edmund. Thank you all for joining. All right, so the first drawing is going to be of a beholder. What will that beholder be doing? Let's come back here, and again, I'm going to roll once, roll twice, third time's the charm. That seems really weird. But it came up with a 1 again. Let's see if they go. Let's try that once, twice, third time's a charm. It's not a 1. Okay, we're going to do it. It's randomization. You never know what you're going to get. So we got a beholder and a 1 on the what is on the beach. So that is going to be our very first drawing, is a beholder on the beach. So let's turn off the tables and come over here to round 1 and get to drawing. Come on, beholder unicyclist. That would have been funny. In fact, when I put that down, I thought that would be a very good one. I was kind of hoping for that too. Owen says random results will often form patterns, and he is so right. All right, so we're on the beach. Let's start with putting a little sketch in for the beach. And beholder, I'm going to give him an umbrella. And I mean, you may have a good idea what I'm drawing. I have a pretty good idea what I want to do with this. All right, so all right. Got my sketch down, and I know a lot of other artists I've seen do this go without sketches. I'm not comfortable quite yet doing that. I always work from sketching. So let's see. We're going to start here. Come in and reset that line. The first thing our beholder needs is some sunglasses. Now, for those of you who are not D&D gamers, a beholder is a large spherical creature with one big eye and 10 eye stalks. It also is a creature that is trademarked by Wizards of the Coast, so you can't use them in published products. But this is not a published product. We're just drawing for fun. All right. Oop. Give our beholder some sunglasses, not just for his main eye, which is the big one, but for his little eyes. Because you gotta protect your eyes when you're out on the beach. All right. Beholder's on a beach blanket. See, I didn't sketch everything. I wanted to get quickly into the drawing, and that leaves me out here. Some of the stuff. One of the ideas Owen has there, he has suggested in the chat, was I was going to bring in as a surprise. This is going to be doing some beach reading. I really should practice doing this without the sketches. This would maybe next time. Maybe on number 2, the drawing will be a little simpler. The beholders, one of the power, each of their eye stalks has a different power. It's got a bit of beach reading that he's looking at here, and one of the eyes is just causing it to float in front of him. And let's go like this. And let's see, I'm gonna skip over what I had there. Things weren't laying out right, but I do have another beholder in the water here. I think that we're going to make this one a slightly heavier pen just to show that he's in front. Well, they're in front. Beholders are genderless. With a bathing cap on. Snorkel. Well, This is one of those situations where the idea, I think, is a little stronger than what I've come up with here actually on the pen, but that's how it goes. Some ideas work out great, others not so much. Let's come back to the color area, maybe drop some quick colors on this and move on to another one uh, so we can get more done in an hour. Switch my brushes. I've gone in uh, and yeah. All right. Yeah, I think this will turn out okay. Not not a home run. I was trying to think if this had been a creature that had a nose, I would have put some zinc oxide on his nose. But beholders don't have noses. Come in here. I like this particular pen that I use for coloring because it is it kind of has a feeling of working with a crayon or a marker, particularly when you drop the opacity down some. Give him a nice bathing cap with his eye stalks lumpy underneath. Turn up the size of the brush as I do the water so I can get it in fewer strokes. Owen says, beholders have no noses, how do they smell? I'll leave it to the rest of you to answer that jokey question. No, I will. They smell terrible. They smell like a zoo. And we come in here with a little bit of that. Maybe a little bit of sky blue here. And we have a beautiful day at the beach with our beholders. Come back and go to my just to show the thing there. Uh, and we've got a beholder at the beach. I will just because I like to take pride in what I'm doing, come back to my new lines layer and stick a stand on it. And there we go. Drawing one for today is some beholders on the beach. James Stowe, thank you for showing up. All right, so let's call that passing. I'd give that a 65 or 70 if I was grading it. Not quite what I in my head had, but it certainly matches what we were looking for, and it was done quickly. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to turn off our beholder layer and turn back on our tables layer. And we're going to go and try for another drawing. How does that sound? Sounds good to me. All right. So we're going to come here and come back over to the dice. And we'll do it again. Once, twice, third time's a charm. Once, twice, third time's a charm. 5, number 5. And that means we're going to be drawing a vampire. Ooh, that has possibilities. And then we're going to come back over here for what is our vampire going to do? Once, twice, third time's a charm. Number 2. A vampire riding unicycle. Well, Owen, you wanted a unicycle. You just got the wrong creature. Vampire on a unicycle. Okay. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to turn on round 2. I'm going to add in that layer 24 is where I'm going to do my quick sketch. All right, so I turn off the tables. I come over to layer 24. I'm going to lock layer 1 so I don't go, or round 1 so I don't go back in there. All right, I'm going to do a vampire on a unicycle. Okay. That's not looking right. Let's clear that layer. Let's clear that layer and try that again. There's clear. There we go. So, let's come back here. Start the unicycle. Okay. I like where we're going with this. I don't know how much you guys can figure out about what I'm thinking. All right, I'm ready to go. I'm feeling better about this one. Our lines. Good. Okay. I'm going to start here with a vampire. We can already see that he's in some kind of trouble. A Nosferatu style vampire. It's got a cloak on, I think. Oh, I guess. Oh, I don't want to spoil too many of the details. Fancy dress vampire. I mean, they're fancy folk. Nice pointy shoes. Again, because that's fancy. And let's see, nice pinstripes on the pants. That's nice. Give him cufflinks. These fingers. Maybe these other fingers ought to be a little longer too. Vampires have long, pointy fingers. Because it's not just on a unicycle. Oh no. He's also juggling. Skulls. And then we come down here. Thankfully, Procreate makes it easy for me to draw a circle. Oops. Go. Make sure it closes up. That's true. All right. So we've got a vampire on a unicycle. Hey, Adam, thanks for dropping in, man. A vampire on a unicycle, juggling some skulls. All right, let's turn off that. Come to our colors layer. Maybe put in a little color on this. I'm going to give my vampire some purplish. Oops. Drawing. We had, when I was working at Wizards of the Coast, um, we had one of the artists, who I will not name because it's an artist I like and respect a lot, but we had problems with them when it came time to doing covers of that had elves on them. And this was an artist that did a lot of covers for D&D products, and this artist liked to. I don't know why. I never really asked them why, but liked to draw elves with very pale, sallow, purplish skin. I mean, like the tint that I've given this vampire. If there was an elf on the cover, the artist would draw the elf with that color skin. And you know what? I forgot. I totally forgot. I started to draw it in, and then I took it out. Sorry, got to come back to the line drawing for a minute here, and then I'll get back to my story. Now I've left you in the middle of a story. I put on here because I wanted to give him a cape. There we go. Let's go back here to that coloring layer and get back to that because cape is going to be that same color. Anyway, the artists like to draw elves with very pale, almost purplish skin tone, and we for one of the lines I was working on, Dragonlance, it was that the elves had a very long history of being Caucasian pink, and we had several covers coming up um, where it was important to us that the characters looked like the characters had been previously portrayed, and it was a struggle for us, not because we had in the past asked this artist to draw characters, elf characters, with more humanish skin tones, more, again, not just human, but Caucasian human. And never could get what we wanted. And, for the most part, the artists were left to do what they wanted. They had control over their so their output, as long as it didn't violate, the what had gone before in previous products. So we tried to be very specific about this and say, look, we've got this character. It's got to look like this character. And I remember that we tried to be as we didn't want to offend this artist, but we needed to make sure we got a drawing that a cover that matched the character that was the main character in the story. And so we talked to him, and we wrote up an art order, and we went and talked to him specifically, and they very nice. It's a person I know and had and still have good relations with. It was an uncomfortable conversation, and because, like I say, we didn't want to offend. We just needed this result. I knew that if we didn't make a big point of it, we weren't going to get it. And in the end, the funniest thing to me is we got what we wanted. That elf looked like what we wanted, color-wise, skin color-wise, and matched. It was a terrific piece of art. But boy, if that the elf character was there and finished and correct, but was not lavish, did not have a lot of detail lavished on him beyond what needed to go on there. But the other parts, which we'd said clearly, you can do it. There's set in the jungle, and there's a city in the background, and those are completely up to you. We beyond these minor notes, we leave that up to you. And that artist put so much more work into the jungle. There's a parrot on the cover that was much more detailed than or felt more alive and close to the camera and vivid. So, in the end, we learned that the artist is going to draw what is interesting to the artist. And as an artist, I can say I understand that. All right, there we go. What do you think? We've got a vampire on a unicycle. Again, I'll come back up to this lines layer. And stick a little stand on it. And it's done. So, yeah, there's two drawings done. Not bad for a first show. And we've still got 15 minutes left, so let's go on and do a third drawing. What do you think? Crazy old vampire. All right, I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to close that up and turn it off. Come back to our encounter tables. So now the beholder's off the table, the vampire's off the table, the beach and the unicycle are off the table, and we're going to roll again for do one more. Let's see, 6:45. We'll get one more in. So I'm going to come over here, back to the die rolling app, and I'm going to roll it just like I did before. Once, twice, third time's a charm. So here we go. Once, twice, third time's a charm, and it's number 4. Number 4 on the hit parade over here for who is an adventurer. So this could be just about anything. This is kind of like what I was saying before. It's artist's choice. Very broad interpretation. Okay, what is this adventurer going to be doing? Let's find out. All right, here we go again. Once, twice, third time's a charm. 5. I think the 1 and 2 popped up again. You never know with these dice rollers. They're supposed to be random. But 5 is an Olympic gymnast. Okay. That, that'll work. I've drawn those before. Okay, so come here, and I will turn off the tables, and we're going to come up to round 3. Add a layer. Um, I left so when I wrote that down there, I knew I was leaving. Olympic gymnast leaves it wide open because there's all kinds of things. We could have an Olympic gymnast doing a floor exercise, or on the rings, or doing something with a pommel horse, or a rhythmic gymnast. And so I turn to you, my fine people following. Do you have any input? What kind of gymnast you'd like to see, or what kind of adventurer you'd like to see? Should it be a big burly fighter, or maybe I'll do a woman character this time? Had men both times last time. What do you think? In a couple of seconds for y'all to ponder that. I have some ideas running around in my head, but and it could also, we could say it's a character other than human. Could be a dwarf, a gymnast on tree bark. Okay. Hey, and Cyrus, thank you for showing up. Glad to have you here. Dale Donovan, halfling on the uneven bar, says Dale. India Jones on Temple of the Uneven Bars. Got 2 votes for uneven bars. Indiana Jones. All right. I think that I'm feeling like we want the uneven bars. We got a suggestion for it to be halfling. We got a suggestion for it to be a female. So let's go here. Ooh, come on. Oh yeah. Turn it on. It doesn't work if I just open it. I have to turn it on. Okay. I'm gonna have uneven bars. Now I may have to move these around on the page. I'm not really sure right now. But in fact, yes, I'm going to make that smaller on the page and then zoom in, because I think what I want to do is plan to have a couple spinning it up and landing there. Okay. So then we're going to have no, don't like that. This is another reason why I like to work with sketching here, because it allows me to play around with ideas and not have to be stuck with. Because it's hard, really. I was thinking about it. It's hard to show something that makes it clear that it's a halfling, particularly with Olympic gymnasts, since they're all, well, for the most part these days, they're early teen girls, so they're all halfling sized anyway. All right. How do I make that work out there? How do I make this work out? Hmm. That's the other thing I found when I was doing gymnasts in for the Olympics. It's uh, because they're doing things that bodies don't usually do. It's a little harder to work quickly because you've got to figure out how does a body do that. How does a body do that? Okay. I'm not sure the halfling thing is going to work out as well as I would have liked, but here we go. We're going to start with the face. I like to start with the face. And she's happy. Give her kind of semi-pointy ears. This is the thing that if we go to halfling idea again, different eras of halflings have had different kinds of ears. Sometimes they're very human looking. Sometimes they're kind of elven. Okay. I suppose the other thing that I'm suddenly realizing is there's nothing that really says particularly adventurer about this so far, but my mind is cogitating on a couple of things I might add to make our halfling a little more adventurous. I mean, for example, let's get rid of the regular old. Right now, I've got her in gymnastics gear, so let's get rid of that and put on some armor. We can make sure that these are boots rather than gymnastic slippers. Hmm. You know what? The other thing I can do is change this hand, and instead of giving a big ta-da, she's got her sword drawn. Do this. Aha. Okay. Ooh, lost my glasses there. I got so excited I lost my glasses. All right, I'm gonna resize this a little bit again. Oh, you know what? I need to resize these two layers together a little bit and move it over to the side because I figured out what I'm gonna do. Come along there and swing around like that. Oop, that didn't work out quite right. There we go. Coming through. Look out, halfling coming through. And what we're going to get here, come back to that other layer for a second. And all right. I know. I keep saying all right, and you don't know what I mean. But I'm going to put out here. Some kind of lizardy monster. That our halfling will have slit its throat, or given at least hit it with it. Nice shot while passing by. Ta-da! Hey, Amy, thank you for stopping in, swinging by. Well, you said you were going to be very busy, and I appreciated the fact that uh, you even wanted to put it on your schedule. I'm glad you could make it. All right, so let me turn off this here, see where we're going. We've got a all right, let's add a little bit of color to this quick, and we can wrap that up. Come back to my drawing layer, and we're going to give our halfling a little bit of pinkish purplish hair because it's looking all fancy. And in there, a little bit darker for another section of the armor. Some nice soft leather gloves, little hardier leather boots. Just adding little bits of color here and there. Our lizard folk there is gonna have a greenish tint. You get a purplish tongue. Too light. Too light to be seen. No. There we go. It's a little too much there. I don't know. That doesn't look. It looks more like surprise than than the result of an attack. Let's come back and add a little something in there. And I think we have an Olympic gymnast new character. So let's come back in here once again, just for the sake of clarity. I will put my little stand here at the bottom. Ooh. And we've got an adventurer, Olympic gymnast, taking care of business, looking stylish, doing it. All right, so there we go. We have had a good time. I think I've had a good time. I hope. I'm really honored that so many people have showed up, and I hope you all have enjoyed our evening so far. Or we're going to be wrapping up in a minute. We did 3 drawings. We had the Olympic gymnast, uh, an adventurer Olympic gymnast. We had. Ooh, what's going on here? Oh, I turned off the. We had a vampire on a unicycle. And we had a beholder at the beach. Pretty good for an hour. And all of that based on these tables, which means we still have things to do next time. I will take the beholder and the vampire off. I'll probably leave the adventure because that's a broad category that can be interpreted lots of different ways. But I'll take the beach and the unicycle and the Olympic gymnast off and replace them, possibly with what's already on the bonus board. I picked the bonus board to be kind of extra exciting things, so I don't know. We'll see. I suppose you'll just have to tune in and find out. Um, But what do I want to leave up here for my closing? I think I'm going to come back to the uh, unicycle. There we go. So that is what random encounters is all about. We draw up some uh, inspiration. We put it on I say me, I do this. The thing I would like to do, as people get used to coming, is encourage you to bring a pad of paper or whatever you like to draw with. And if one of these ideas is uh, you find entertaining and you want to draw along, do that at home too. Drawing's fun. Not I do it because uh, I made a career out of it because I love it so much. But the reason I got that far is that I love it so much, and I was just drawing all the time, just for fun. So as we're picking out uh, different subjects to do, and you want to draw along, I highly encourage that. And if you want to share them, when we're done, you can send them to me either in a comment or an email, and I will, with your permission, I'll show them in the next show. So that's how this show works. We've had uh, our examples today. I'm going to do another show this week. The intention is to do one show a week, but after I set this up, I realized that this Thursday is May the 4th. And for those of you who are Star Wars fans, you know that's a very important day. May the 4th be with you. So I will be back on Thursday evening with a Star Wars themed Random Encounters sketch challenge. And I hope that those of you who are available will stop on by. Whether you're watching this live now or watching it on a replay, drop a comment down there. And you know what they say, subscribe, click the bell, do whatever it is on the platform you're doing, because I'm streaming this to to YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, maybe Twitter also. So whichever platform you're on, follow me in the appropriate way. I would really appreciate that. You can see a bunch of the other things I post, the other drawings I do. And if you're really interested, you can come over to my Patreon and join that. I don't have an overlay for that, which, if I was really prepared, I'd have that ready. But it's you can find that. If you find one of my other, however you found me here, there will be a link to my Patreon in there somewhere. So consider joining us there. In the meanwhile, I want to thank you for coming by, Adam and Amy and Linnea and Owen and everyone else that stopped in. I really, really appreciate that. I will be back on Thursday for a Star Wars themed random encounter show. Until then, thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon. Now I just have to find my way out of here. There we go. Okay. Bye.